Hello everyone, it's Christine here and happy Thrifty Thursday. Now I wasn't planning a video for Thrifty Thursday this week, but I happened to pop by an op shop that I love that's a little bit out of the way. It's not very far from where I am, but it doesn't get a lot of people going through it, so I sometimes find some amazing things, and there's lots of tubs to dig through and look, and that's what I did today. So what I'm going to talk about in this video is some places to look in op shops that you might not be looking, and some of the things to look out for. I also received in the post today a lovely package from Ngaire as well, which had some things I've purchased from her quite a while ago, as she has been destashing. So I can't even remember what is in that, but we'll have a look at that together. And then I want to have a go at using one of the things I found at the op shop today, which is these little button, I guess, outlines, molds, button frames that you can then stitch over and cover, a bit like a Dorset button, I guess. And then I've got some other Dorset button kind of ideas with some of the other things I found at the op shop. So what will we do? I think we might start with Ngaire's package, and then we'll come to the op shop goodies, and we'll finish on these amazing button finds. So I've got this package from Ngaire, and this was also in the envelope, which is fabulous. It looks like a vintage crochet cotton. Got a lovely little card from Ngaire. Very, very sweet. Oh, isn't that lovely? You can just sort of sit it up. Put that with my little collection that will go into my little memory book with stitchy friendships. They always come beautifully packaged in fabric, which I think is the best way to package things. This looks like a lovely Japanese fabric. Lovely piece there. Beautiful, beautiful. Love the little treasures. So I will keep that with my strips. And then I think Ngaire's wrapped it in this lovely, almost reminds me of some of the Indian, I think it probably is an Indian print, maybe a block print. My nan and grandpa had some similar ones. It's lovely, lovely colours. Oh, little envelope. I'll open that off in case it's something that I'm not to show on camera. Oh, very sweet. It's just got a little note card, and this most precious. Isn't this amazing? I remember purchasing this. It is the tiniest little stitchery. Let me just see. It's night time, so it's a little bit dark. Not sure if I can hold my other light up a bit. Maybe that will help. Maybe it won't. Isn't that amazing? Tiny, tiny, tiny. And that will be lovely to stitch onto something. So I'll put that back in its little bag, and I'll put it, actually I can put it over with, I'll put it straight away over with some of my little metal embellishments. So I'll pop it in there. Put that with my little collection of notes and things. Over there. They won't fall down from there. Wow, look at this. Isn't that beautiful? I think these are the ones that you can iron. I'll just get back into focus. I think these are the ones that you can iron on to a piece of fabric. But you could also, cut individual elements out and stitch with them. They're lovely. I think this is a Liberty little square, little handkerchief, which is gorgeous. Over there. Oh, isn't this sweet? Little chickens with an egg. That is absolutely darling. I think it's machine embroidered, but that can definitely go with my little Easter collection. And then this is funny because you'll see soon that at the op shop today, totally independent of knowing what I had coming in my package, or even remembering that I had the package coming from Ngaire, you'll get a laugh in a few moments when I show you what I purchased at the op shop. So isn't this fabulous? A fabulous retro polka dot apron. And then I think I've got another apron here as well. I have another fabulous retro apron. and it's a great way to get really retro fabrics, and either you can keep the apron whole. I've got some projects where I make little pouches or bags out of aprons, or you can harvest it for the fabric. So that was just my very small little bundle from Ngaire, but very lovely indeed. So then let me move on to, on the theme of aprons, this is one of my suggestions, that if you go to the op shop like I did today and not find anything in like the embroidered doilies that you might be looking for, I'll give you some other places to look for some treasures that you might like to have for your slow stitching. And one of the places is to look in the aprons, because you can find amazing vintage aprons like this one. Look at the beautiful fabric. It's got a lovely sort of crisscrossy texture to it. It's got the fabulous vintage rickrack on it. Lovely, lovely cotton. It's handmade. Often they have a sweet little pocket, so if you're going to incorporate it into a project. And I'll probably do another project or two using aprons, because again I have quite a few that are left over even from my earlier project where I was making little pouches with the aprons. I think I've actually got one. I do have one here, so let me just show you one of my little pouches made with an apron, in case you missed that episode. And so it can fold over. Obviously it's better when it has something in it, you get to sort of see the shape a bit more, but it can fold over like that, or you can use it like a little bag, so you can put your goodies in. And on this I've used the base of the apron to make a pocket here, a pocket here. I've taken advantage of the little pocket that was on it. I've sewn on some retro buttons, and I also put some of my Nana's travelling rickrack along the handle as well. So again, just a beautiful little project idea if you do want to make use of your aprons. And this kept it entirely in its entirety. Also one of the cute little buttons over there, but gives me a great little project bag as well that I use all the time. So yeah, love the fabric on this. So that will pop into the wash. And then there was a second apron, because I'm collecting up toiles at the moment, so the sort of French style fabric, and there was an apron made out of beautiful toile, which was a great way to get a whole lot of toile for, I think these were 50 cents each, and so yeah, beautiful. So this I'll probably harvest the toile from, although I was looking at it today thinking, could I make a nice little summer top out of it, because it's already got some of the elements of like a little singlet. I could take the pocket off. I could use some of the length to make the back on a top. So yeah, I'll have a think about it, because it's a beautiful soft cotton. And then, as I mentioned, I didn't find anything in the embroidered doilies, but I was having a look through the tablecloths, and some of them looked quite plain. This one, when I first looked at it, I thought, oh, it's just a cotton tablecloth, but it's a really good idea to open them out and have a look, because when I did that, I found that it had the most beautiful embroidery on it. Really bold. I think it's like using a perle, a reasonably thick perle actually. I think it would be using, let me see if I've got one to show you in my drawers here. Having a look here, one of, is that, yeah, probably this sort of thickness, or even the next thickness up might be, in fact that's almost the same colour. How funny is that? But yeah, definitely a thick sort of stitching, and very simple just stitches, but really effective. So I thought, even as a sampler to look at and take some inspiration from in my stitching, that would be fabulous. But it's, yeah, really lovely textured cotton linen. And then it's got, yeah, these beautiful, I think they're just little crosses. See if I can see on the other side, on the back. Yeah, little cross stitches. And then again, just those little long stitches using that quite thick thread. So you can find quite unique things, because I don't have anything in my sort of, collection quite as bold as these particular pieces. So again, whether I keep that whole, I think it could also make a beautiful top. I do want to do some more making of tops and clothing with my linens. And then also in the tablecloths, this is just a little card table, and I think it does have a few stains, but I haven't washed it yet, so they might soak out. But it's just so soft. It might even have a little hole somewhere as well. But again, I was thinking, oh, wouldn't this be great to make a lovely little summer dress or top, or use elements of it. These would be beautiful to kind of then stitch into and thread paint or thread accent. So again, for 50 cents, definitely picking that up. Then I might bring you down because we'll look at some things a bit closer up. So let me just bring you down a bit. And I hope you're having a beautiful day. It's a Thursday here, hence being Thrifty Thursday, and it's before a long weekend because we've got tomorrow off. So I feel like it's Friday, but it's only Thursday. I'm going to have a whole Friday, a whole Saturday, a whole Sunday. So that is fabulous. So let me just bring a bit more light into the equation. Yep, that's okay. Just was looking strange from the angle I was at. So this was 50 cents, I think, for quite a lot of the broderie Ngaire. And so where I look for these is usually in an op shop there might be, or a thrift store, there might be a box of sort of miscellaneous laces. Sometimes they're the sort of more recent, cheaper laces. At this particular op shop, I've found some amazing antique laces in that big sort of tub, so I always have a dig through. This is a machine made, but I thought it was a really lovely pattern, and you can add that to a pouch, add it to a piece of clothing, add it to all sorts of things, but I thought it was a beautiful, beautiful design. Let's pop that over there. And then I found this in again, another different tub of boxes, and it's a lovely handmade box, which is just incredible. I don't think I'm going to take it apart because I don't think I'd ever be able to get it sort of back together, but I couldn't resist it. Even the lady at the counter said, oh, what a lovely box. So I'll just keep that on my desk to enjoy. And in the same thing of the laces, I picked up some lovely, it's just got a beautiful yellow accent on it. I think I'll send some of this to my friend that loves yellows. And I got these yellow elephants, again very cute, but quite old, I think, because you can sometimes tell when you get little bits of staining on the edge. You can tell that it's got a bit of age. Likewise, this one, I saw one tiny little portion had a bit of staining, which shows the age. But this is a beautiful, not sure if it's going to show up okay for you. Got leaves and little sort of flowery shapes and beautifully made, so I think that is also a vintage trim. Put that out of the way. And then I went digging into a big tub of buttons, and down the very, very bottom, I found a motherload stash of mother of pearl buttons. Now on Etsy and some other places, you can pay upwards of $1 plus for a single mother of pearl button, so sort of 12 buttons, sometimes $18. So these were, I think, like the bigger ones might have been 50 cents, like the bigger cards, 50 cents, 20 cents, 10 cents, and I got an amazing collection. Now, when you're looking for mother of pearl, you'll be able to tell because if you touch them, they're cool. And it's also a lot heavier than, say, a plastic button because they're made out of shell. And often they are on this silver backing, the original vintage where they're sewn onto the silver backing and card. But yeah, you'll be able to tell by the coolness. So I always put them against my skin and straight away I know that they're a mother of pearl, and also just the weight in the hand. And if you look under some of them, like this one here, you'll be able to see the actual pearl as well. These ones are probably a little, oh no, you can even on these turn them over and have a look, and you can see a little bit of the brown of the shell, sorry. And so these ones, again, you can see the shell at the base. These ones have beautiful carving on them. You can just see how luminous they are. They're just lovely. I love looking at the writing on the back as well. So another sweet little card of them. Another card. So I kept digging. Once I found one of these, I kept digging in the box and just found more and more. And I think I got most of them out of the box. So again, exquisite carving on these. You can absolutely tell the age of them just even from where that sticky tape is. It's totally sort of degraded. These ones have gorgeous engraving around the outside. They're very precious. Well, these aren't mother of pearl, but they are beautiful pearlized buttons made in Czechoslovakia. fashionable buttons, but again, quite an age to them, I think. Been in someone's collection for a while. Some more beautiful ones with a sort of inset centre. Again, lovely carving on these. More of the beautiful carved ones. Another stunning card. So yeah, I think these probably all came from someone's collection, but yeah, it's really worthwhile having a dig inside. And then these ones are glass buttons, which again, you'll be able to tell by the weight. Let me bring them up so you can have a good look at them, because they are just stunning. And 50 cents for 3 beautiful glass buttons, and just the detailing on them is amazing. So I was very, very pleased with that. Probably a few dollars at the op shop for all those beautiful mother of pearl buttons on their original vintage cards. And these glass buttons, which I'm always collecting glass buttons. Now, the other things I got at the op shop were these rings, 20 for $1. So I've emptied some out here. And I've got a few ideas. I'm thinking these will be great to make like little miniature pendants or brooches, either using embroidery, like make them like a little mini embroidery hoop by putting some cotton, for example, over them, stitching around the edge to hold it in place, and then stitching a little design into the center, or probably easier to stitch a little design first and then do that stitching around it and wrapping it with thread to make a little brooch or pendant. But you could also use lovely little embroideries. You've got like this doily has some staining on it, so I could just use the individual little embroideries and do a similar thing. Pop them there, and then put stitches all around the outside to hold the piece of linen in place. I could even make it like a little Suffolk puff to gather it up first, and then do that stitching over the edge. So I might come back in another video and do that, but I do want to demonstrate something else I got from the op shop in this video, so stay tuned for that. And I thought even for Christmas it would be lovely to turn some of these, for example, into like a little wreath, because I think I'll be able to treat them almost like a Dorset button, where you can stitch over the outside and make a lovely sort of stitched button style piece. So maybe I could do them in different sort of Christmassy colours as Dorset buttons, and then stitch them together, joining each of the Dorset buttons, and make it a little decoration or a little hanger for the door. I thought I could also make it in shapes like a Christmas tree. And I'm thinking there'd also be a way that you could just have a little something sort of sitting in the middle. I was also thinking if I wanted to make like a ring thimble, they're going to be great because I think this size would probably, I know I've got quite smallish fingers, but I think it's got enough room in it that it would fit a variety of finger sizes. And they're quite nicely made rings. I'm not sure if they were made to be jewellery rings or made to be used in something else. But yeah, I was thinking I could use them for thimbles as well, and I'm sure I'll have many other applications for them. And I got 3 bags, so I've got 660 of them to have a good play with. So the final thing I got from the op shop was these, and I think these are virtually like a Dorset button, but they've got a bit more of a structure or frame to them. They're obviously very vintage by the coloration of them. But it looks like you can do different designs over them, and they're probably made for jumpers and doing with wool, if you have a look at sort of what's shown in the illustration down there. And they're basically just a little plastic with a little shank on the back and some holes that you can stitch into. And I thought we might like to have a little go at doing some stitching. So I've just grabbed out a thread that's got a bit of variegation in it. And I thought we could do, a bit of stitching together if you want, and just see how they work. And then that way, if you see them at your op shop, you'll know if there's something you want to get. So I might start by popping, I'll just leave myself maybe with a little bit of tail, but I think I can probably sort of stitch through it on the first pass, and that will just help to secure it in place. So I'll do a stitch through itself, and then I might just start by going around the outside and putting 2 stitches on each of the sort of outside bits. See how we go. Might need to catch that one when we come around, but we'll see. So I'm just putting 2 stitches through each of the holes. I'm not really, like, there are various sort of designs shown on the back, but I'm not really following those. But yeah, hopefully those ideas of have a dig in the buttons, because mother of pearl buttons are getting more and more precious, particularly those beautiful vintage ones. But you can find them in the wild, so have a look for them. Have a look in the tablecloths and actually have a sort of a look within the folds, because you might find lovely embroidery or lovely vintage ones like that wildflower one. Aprons are a great source for both beautiful aprons that you might want to fashion into pouches like I have, but also a great source for fabrics, particularly vintage fabrics, because the aprons were made sort of during an era when there were those lovely, fabulous designs. And often they have lovely trims on them and little pockets and other things that you could incorporate into your projects. So here I might just try and come and grab and anchor that first piece of thread as well. Oops. It's getting tight, which means we're getting sort of a nice distribution around. So that's covering most of the outside. Hopefully we're sort of focusing. We might need to click to focus it a bit more. I wonder if I should actually put maybe a little tie or something here. Doesn't actually show in the diagram how to sort of originally anchor it all off. I suppose I could have put the end under as I worked my way around and sort of wrapped it under, but we'll see how we go. I think that might be fine. Maybe I can sort of hold it under the next section as I work my way around and sort of anchor it in that way. We'll see. So now I might come down to the middle ring, I think, and then come back up to the sort of middle hole. And I wonder again if I probably do 2 stitches into each of the holes. Now those bits are getting a little bit, well, some of them have sort of come in and some are sticking out, so I do wonder if I might need to trim those off before they get stuck in the way. Yeah, I think I'll trim them. I mean, this is all an experiment anyway. Worst case, I just have to sort of unwind it. So we'll keep working our way around. I'll just put you back into hopefully some degree of focus. So putting 2 stitches into each of the holes, which seems to be sort of filling it up. And yeah, this thread I'm using, I think it's one from Karlund Yarns, just from their sort of end of skeins. It's a lovely variegated one, which is fun because it gives you more colours into the mix. But I've actually often seen these, and I hadn't quite twigged to what they were until I was looking at the back of this one today, and I thought, maybe I'll get this and give it a go. Because I do like to have interesting buttons, and that's why I think those rings will be great to make my own little buttons or brooches or other things with those gold rings, either with the gold showing or covering the gold up and just using it as a structuring element. It's working quite well actually, this. And you're not going to see any of the plastic. I guess the only plastic you'll see is at the back with the shank. But even though I imagine this is quite old, it's not like the plastic's fragile or anything, which is good. It's getting quite full in the centre too. So It's getting harder to get the needle through. Yeah, maybe this is where I'll put a stitch at the back over where I started at the very beginning, just to make sure that piece holds once I can actually get the needle through. So we can probably try and just stitch down, put a stitch at the back to cover that one. I think it's held in place anyway by all the stitches, but we'll just put an extra stitch in over where the yellow threads were. So that's how it's looking, which I think is actually really, really lovely. And you've still got the shank on the back to be able to take the stitch through. So I'm actually very, very happy with that. Let's just get a bit of good focus for you. It's a bit of fun. And I'm sure if you wanted to then go out, you could put like some extra stitches. You could even stitch through your outer stitches to make it bigger, but I think I'm pretty happy with that. So I'll just put another stitch in and sort of try and get my thread nice and secure in the back, just sort of passing it through itself, and I guess making some securing, because it's pretty tightly held. The needle is barely passing through, so I think that will probably hold okay. Just cut it off nice and close, and there we go. That is a little button. I wonder if we do, while we're here, because we still have a bit of time, we could try doing one of these, or the other thought I had was using some bits of fabric and just doing, maybe I'll do this actually. It's nice and colourful, and we could just create a little centerpiece around a little circle. So if I wanted to do it, I'm going to try this. Don't know if it's going to work. So this is experimental. We might come back and do it a different way the next time we have a play. Where's one of these where I've got enough room around it? Probably that one. So if I make that my little center, I'll grab one of my friction markers, and I probably want to have a decent size around it, I think. Probably should actually get something circular I can trace around. Have I got something of the right size? Excuse me, I've got a tickle. I'm going to have a sip of tea. Actually, this little jar might be a good size, or I can even use the base probably. Probably better to start with a bit more, and then I can always trim it down if I think it's going to be too big. Might not have gone exactly the right way around. Might be a bit big, but we shall see. So yeah, the friction marker erases with heat. Probably not quite centered, is it? Probably going to go back to my sort of original sized, or my original shaped ones. So I was thinking if I made like a Suffolk puff, is that going to probably gather into about the right size? Maybe not. I guess it will help me along the way. I probably should use a nice finer, stronger cotton. I've got all my little cottons up here, so I should be able to easily reach for something that I might need. My blues, where's my other lighter, more greeny blues. Sort of a bluey colour. It's not really that blue, is it? Maybe it's more greeny than bluey. My reds, not my greens. I want my greens. That might be a bit better, one of these. I wanted one that was quite strong as well. Yeah, that one will be great. Okay, we'll put our marker back in our little rack next door here, and we will give this a go. It's an experiment. That's what we do around here. I popped down before to Alex and I said, and he said, oh, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm going to do my video. And he's like, what have you been doing upstairs? Because I told him I was going upstairs to do video, but I've just been having a little play. As you do. As you do. I'm sure we're all the same. We get into our craft room and all the ideas start bubbling forth, and so we just have a play. Now, because this is going to be on the back, I probably do need to fold the edge in. And I'm just going to need to anchor. I should use one of my little Suffolk puff makers, but I'm going to go freestyle because I didn't grab them. I didn't think I was going to do this, but I decided I wanted to see how it went. I think that's going to hold. So we're just going to fold the edge in as we go around and put little stitches up and down as we go. And we'll see if it's even the right size or not. But at least it will kind of give you the concept. And you could even use something like a washer if you don't have a little ring like this. Lots of different ring things that you can get. But yeah, I did think those rings would be useful. So when it was 20 for $1 at the op shop, diverting them from landfill, I am very happy. I don't really buy from the sites that pop up all the time on the internet that are coming. I mean, these could well have come from one of those sites. It's possible, but I'd much rather buy at the op shop, and I always give a donation as well. It's my little way of helping the community. So I always round it up. The lady was so shocked today because I rounded it up by $8, which isn't a lot of money. And she's like, really? And I'm like, yeah, that's what I do. It's my thing. I get a bargain and the op shop gets some money for a community projects. I always go to op shops that are community based, which is what they tend to be in Australia. There might be some for profit op shops, but I'm not aware of any, none that I frequent. They help lots of good charities. This has like an elderly sits sort of gathering attached to it, so often you can see the older folks having a lovely time, having a lunch or an afternoon tea. And I think it supports some other local community charities, which is a great thing. Be interesting if this fits. It's going to be quite amazing if it actually fits. Don't know whether I made it too big, too small. We shall see. So yeah, I'm just folding in the edge as I go. It doesn't have to be precise. Hopefully the flower will be broadly where we want it positioned, but it doesn't really matter. It's going to still be a nice little pendant. As I say, it's just a bit of a testing of the concept, because I thought maybe if I do it this way first and then do the stitches around the edge once it's sort of gathered around the ring, that might make it easier to do those stitches over the ring. We shall see. But yeah, the little Suffolk puff makers that you can get, again, I got mine secondhand, but you can buy them new. They do make this process very, very easy, but I guess they only come in a set number of sizes. So at this point, before I tighten it up, I'm just going to slip my little ring inside as best as I can. It's like a little shower cap. There we go. And then I'm going to give it a gather, and I think I've done a pretty good job actually. I'm pretty pleased with that for doing it totally on the fly without measurements or without pre-preparation. I guess it could have been a bit further over, but I actually don't mind it not being totally centre. I think in art, isn't it always better to sort of have it not sitting right in the centre? So I can just put another little gathering stitch in, I think. And then I can just put some little stitches over here to hold it nice and tight, seeing we're pretty happy with how it's all gathering up. Might just do another stitch or two just to sort of tighten it up as I go around. So I might just go around and sort of put some stitches in at the back just to give it an extra little bit of gathering. So I'm just kind of overlapping my little stitches, so it's almost like they're kind of creating little mini knots with each one. I mean, it's quite cute even on this side. If you did some little tufts coming out, that could even be a sweet little pendant as well, or put a little bead or something special in the middle. Even, for example, one of your beautiful little mother of pearl buttons could just sit in the center. That would be quite sweet indeed. So make it almost like a little frame. So let's keep going around. But yeah, this will be great for I've got some of those beautiful little like feed sack inspired fabrics that have tiny little designs like little sheep or dogs on them. So this could be a great way to make little cameos using those special tiny fabrics or tiny print fabrics. So that's now nicely, just adding those extra stitches really helps to sort of, yeah, tighten it up. And I was originally thinking I'd then go around and put some stitches around the outside of the frame, like over sort of wrapping stitches, but I actually quite like it, I think, just as it is, although I might show you how it would look, and then maybe I won't do it all the way around, but we can just have a bit of an experiment to see if it works and see if we like it or not as a finish. So I'll just tie that off and then sort of put it back into the center. And this would sit quite flat, I think, as well. Like you could put, yeah, a brooch pin on, etc. You could obviously put another little bit of felt or something on the back if you wanted it to totally seal, and then just do some little stitches around. But I'm having a think now, what colour would I like to use around the outside? Already got some pink in a needle. Could give this a go. Is that going to be, no, that might compete with it a little bit. I'm wondering if it needs to be a bit of green maybe. Oops. Do I have in my regular threads, even though it's more of a perle cotton, I've got this little green. Maybe we'll give that a go. See how it looks. All an experiment. Better go back into focus. I guess it's hard when you're kind of moving up and down and stitching everywhere. The camera doesn't quite know where to focus. Oops. Come back. So I'll secrete the end in. I might start over here just to see. Get rid of that other thready bit. And so I'm just going to, I think, just pop up. And I don't even have to do it kind of really thickly. I could just have it sort of, as in it doesn't have to all be joined up and wrapped all consistently. It can just be a bit more like little leaves almost, but just provide a bit of extra interest on the edge and a bit of extra stability, I guess, to the piece. Again, it's just going to give you that really nice tight wrapping. So yeah, I don't mind that. It's almost just like little textured leaves, and it is giving me the idea that I'd like to have a go at putting some little French knots in the centers of these ones. Again, I should try and make sure I'm staying somewhat in focus. So as you can see, I'm just not even I'm just doing it nice and randomly, not worrying about the sort of angles too much that they go on, unless they totally cover each other. And just putting them in like little leaves around the outside. So here I'll just sort of have one that comes, I don't want to sort of take away from the flowers, and that's a good thing about these sort of more uneven little stitches, is that I don't have to do them where the flowers are. So yeah, I quite like just that less sort of a more, not scrappy, but a more random stitching. And so do I want to do any extra little leafy things here? I don't think I do. I think I just want to put for these some little French knots in for the centers. So I'll bring it over to the back and I'll tie it off here. Put an extra knot in just to be sure, So I hope you're having a beautiful day. And so then let's use some of this lovely yellow that we got from Ngaire. Let's put it straight into use. Actually thinking I want that more yellowy end and less of the orange. So we thread this end and start with the other yellow end. Because I'm thinking if you can do this, then it means you can use your fabric and then you can add your stitching afterwards, and it does almost become like a little embroidery hoop for you to work in. Or you could do the stitching first and then do the wrapping. I guess the good thing about this is you know exactly where it's ended up sort of on the piece, so you're not going to miss stitch somewhere that doesn't end up then showing on your piece. So I'm going to do 2 wraps for a French knot, so I get a decent sized little center. Oops, come on. That's quite cute. See if I can always come back with a stitch if I need to just hold it down a bit more. No, I think that's going to sink down nicely into it. Thought I'd use the more yellow end of it, but I must have got the orange end, but that's okay. Sorry, I don't know if we've gone out of focus again. It is hard to keep something so tiny in focus. So again, doing 2 wraps. Probably could have just done 1 wrap on that one because it is a smaller flower, but that's okay. Oops. Now we've got a knot. We'll just see if we can get it through without having a problem. If we do, we'll just have to retry. We've got quite a knot happening here. So we might just pull our thread through and sort ourselves out. There's quite a few knots because I don't want to make you watch me untangling them. What I'm going to do is just use the little bit of thread that doesn't have a knot in it. And I think I can probably even just do a little stitch here rather than a French knot, and I can always come through a second time and just make the center of this one a bit more petite, because the flower is, as I say, a bit more petite. There we go. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Great. That is fabulous. Fabulous, fabulous. Let's get it to focus again. So yeah, I think that's really sweet, and it does just become either a sweet little button. Because if you wanted to use it as a button, you could just put a little loop of thread and then kind of use it like a shank button, or a little brooch. Or if you do want to make like a little Christmas wreath, wouldn't that be lovely? Just have a few of these, and then you can just put some stitching between them to form them into a wreath shape. So yeah, definitely come back and do some more things that way, but it's a great use for those lovely little tiny fabrics, etc. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing the making of the button and the button brooch crafty bit. And I hope you've enjoyed seeing those other things and having a bit of a think about things that you can hunt for and find treasures at your op shops or charity stores or thrift stores. I was just so stoked with these. They just feel so lovely, and they're so gorgeous, and I'll be able to share these with my friends as well. So thank you so much for watching, and if you're heading into your weekend as you watch this, I hope you have a beautiful weekend and I hope you're doing well. Bye everyone.